Hello, Sun City Anthem. I'm Elvis Presley. No, I'm Tom Jones. No, I'm Engelbert Humperdinck. No, folks, I'm really Tony Arias.
And I'm Maren Wade, and it's great to be co-hosting Anthem Alive with all of you.
Yes.
And yeah.
And me?
And all of, yes, all
and
of
all
you,
of
Tony.
this?
Yes.
Here's our show lineup for this Independence Day edition.
For those who are ready to travel, you'll get some inspiration from The Daily News, a Spotlight Club production from right here at Freedom Hall.
Also, that's entertainment. Reporter Diane Davis catches up with Rich Little for an interview before his show at the Tropicana. He's a funny man.
He is. And Phil Schlager will tell you about Hollywood legend James Cagney's Oscar-winning performance as George M. Cohan in Yankee Doodle Dandy.
And for Buffalo Soldiers Day on July 28th, history buffs out there will enjoy an interesting story from producer-director Dave Carter of Rusty Spur Productions, plus information on our local Las Vegas Buffalo Soldiers Day.
Yeah. Do you remember July 20th, 1969?
No, I don't.
The Apollo space landing? Book Talk's Project Hail Mary might be a sci-fi novel today, but a reality tomorrow.
Oh, yes, that much. You're right. Well, also tell you about upcoming performance schedule and the shows you can come and see.
I scream. You scream. We all scream for ice cream. That's right. It's National Ice Cream Day on July 16th, and many residents will celebrate it at the Veterans Club Ice Cream Social. Get information coming up in the show.
I love ice cream.
Me too.
I adore it. We have a firecracker of a show for you, so don't miss these stories and more next on
Anthem Alive.
Welcome back to Anthem Alive for fun July celebrations. I'm Tony Arias with my talented co-host, Maren Wade, and we're so pleased to be hosting the Independence Day show for you at the SCA-TV studios.
That's right, Tony. Right here on your Sun City Anthem campus. This is a very patriotic community, flags flying everywhere. You know, I want to come back on the 4th to see it all, because it is a great place to live and play. And the bonus is its own television station staffed by all volunteers. What other senior communities have their own TV station? I am impressed. I would love to live anywhere that has a TV station.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, you too, right?
Yes, absolutely. I just love this place. Well, Mary, since you headlined an Armed Forces Entertainment Tour where you traveled all over the world on military bases, you'll relate to the first segment.
Oh.
Yes. So let's roll it.
I've been everywhere, I've been everywhere, across the desert air, green the mountain air, travel I've had my share, I've been everywhere. Reno, Florida, Chicago, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Napa, Love, Paloma, Bangalore, Baltimore, South, Anvil, Tucson, Marysville, I'm killer. I've been everywhere, crossed the desert there, breathed the mountain air, traveled had my share, I've been everywhere.
I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texas, and Monterey, Derry, and Austin, Grand Rock, Little Rock, Black Rock, Tennessee, Chicken, Spirit Lake, Grand Lake, Devil Lake, Crater Lake,
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Crossed that desert there, man. Breathed that mountain air, man. Traveled and had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, Virginia, Sheffield, Jacksonville, Waterville, Costa Rica, Pittsfield, Springfield, Bakersfield, Shreveport, Kentucky, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport, Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Argentina, Pasadena, Catalina. See what I mean? I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Crossed the desert there, man. Breathed the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
I've been to Pittsburgh, Parkersburg, Rebelsburg, Colorado, Ellsburg, Rexburg, Vicksburg, Illinois, Laramore, Abilene, Abishua, Chattanooga, Chester, Nebraska, Alaska, Opelika, Baraboo, Waterloo, Townsend, Say, Sue, say, God, say, what a pity.
I've been everywhere, and I've been everywhere, and crossed that desert fair, and reached that mountain there, and traveled, I've had my share, and I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere.
Yes, that should be my theme song. Even though Sun City Anthem is one of the top 55 plus communities in the country and has just about everything you can think of, it does get a little hot here in Las Vegas at this time, so many residents travel. But they can still stay in touch by watching SCA-TV wherever they are.
Yes, and such talent in this community rehearsing for the fall shows. We know you were on America's Got Talent, Maren, but at Sun City Anthem, they have an Anthem's Got Talent show, and that's coming up on October 2nd. Now, by popular demand, and the 7th show, and the whole series they've been doing.
That sounds very fun.
It really is, and I'm sure you'll see some of those vocalists in that production sponsored by SCA-TV. Tickets go on sale next month. To check out the website to obtain those front row seats, check it out right now.
You know what else? It's also Canada Day on July 1st.
Canada.
I'm Canadian. Do you know that I'm Canadian?
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I am, but my family is more Canadian than I am. I wasn't born there, but I do have Canadian citizenship, so
That
I'm going to
explains
claim that
a
one too.
lot.
I get to celebrate both.
Oh,
both
yeah.
of
I
those
love
Independence
poutine.
Days.
Oh,
I can't take
God.
credit for that, but
I
I'll let
love
them
it.
know. I'll
Yes,
let them know you love
please.
it. Rich Little hails from north of the border,
Yeah.
but lives and works in Las Vegas now. Diane Davis catches him before his show. Let's listen in.
If you want to see someone who is big in the entertainment industry, here he is, Rich Little.
My fellow Americans. Well, this is George Bush Sr.
This is Carol Channing. World's greatest crossword puzzle addict died yesterday. And tomorrow, they're going to bury him 8 feet down and 3 feet across.
Rich Little, how old were you when you did your first gig? Was it a birthday party? Was it at school?
High school, where I got up and imitated the teachers. That's how I started. It wasn't long before the teachers were charging a 2-drink minimum and a cover charge.
Who was your favorite person to imitate?
Ronald Reagan.
Rich, thank God you're here. Because you do me better than I do, so you finish this damn press conference.
John Wayne.
You know, I had to be the toughest actor that ever lived. I was so tough that every single morning I took a bath in ice water.
You are an incredible Alfred Hitchcock. Can you do a little?
Oh, yeah. Alfred Hitchcock had that very distinctive voice where he sounded down here like this. Well, tonight we're going to have a murder. Mine.
Your voice, your face, your body, your props. What's the most important of all of these?
Well, I'm mostly interested in the voice. You know, I don't have many props. I have a few props like Jack Benny's glasses or George Burns' cigar.
How are ya? It's me, George Burns. Welcome to the Hollywood Palace.
No, my show is really aimed at people of my age group or slightly younger and who know John Wayne and Dean Martin and George Burns.
Did you like Dean Martin?
I like Dean. I didn't get to know Dean very well.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
When we do the roasts, he wasn't really in the green room where all the celebrities gathered before we did the roast. And at the last minute, he'd stick his head in and go, "How is everybody? Hey, we're going to have a great show tonight, Pally." And then he was gone. And that was about it.
Who were your friends in the industry?
I was close to Jimmy Stewart, of course.
Richard, you should have got a hold of me. I could have sent you the movie.
Got along with Jimmy very well, wonderful man. And Jack Benny was a dear friend of mine.
You know, Rich Little was a good friend of mine.
Those are the people I knew best. Stuart Granger, the swashbuckler from the 50s. I knew him very well. Used to see a lot of him. And but not too many show business friends.
Let's talk about something happy. What do you do to have fun?
Still sketching. I've done hundreds of sketches of the people I imitate, and others too. I've done relatives and people. So I sketch a lot, and still watch a lot of movies, and play golf occasionally, although I'm not very good at it. But I play about as bad as Gerald Ford, really. I got a hole-in-one, though, the other day playing golf, but the fellow I got it in wasn't too thrilled about it. I'm not a great golfer, believe me.
Well, you may not have gotten a hole-in-one, but you are one of a kind. This is Diane Davis and Rich Little for SCA-TV.
My goodness. Diane knows everyone.
Yes, she does.
She's just amazing. And what's amazing is she can hold that much information in that tiny little body.
I know.
I'm going to put a bell around her neck because I'm always afraid I'm going to step on her. Hey, you better go see Rich before they implode the Tropicana.
Yes, watch for the Tropicana story coming up soon on SCA-TV. I understand the reporters and editors are working on it now.
Oh. This town keeps reinventing itself, and Nevada has quite a history on how pioneers were able to settle in the West, which I believe most of them stayed at Best Westerns. Best West, is this on?
Don't trust him. You can't trust any history lesson from him.
Next, we have a story for Buffalo Soldiers Day. Check it out.
The Buffalo Soldiers were trailblazers in every sense of the word. They were warriors, soldiers, who fought not only for personal freedom, but for an effective voice in society. Their heroic deeds helped pave the way for their African-American descendants and helped to forge this great nation. Join us as we mount up, saddle up, and ride with the Buffalo Soldiers. Bugler, boots and saddles!
For nearly 5 years, the American Civil War had bled a nation, as both sides searched for the answer to one simple question: were all men truly created equal? That answer would come at a high cost. For the North, it meant preserving the Union. For slaves in the South, it meant freedom. And after centuries of having no voice, no say in their own lives, Black Americans were about to be heard. And their voices would change the country forever.
While the Buffalo Soldiers may have gained their fame on the frontier during the Indian Wars and again in Cuba, their story starts earlier, much earlier, during the American Civil War.
Grab that one.
Let the black man get upon his person the brass letters U.S. Let him get an eagle on his buttons. And a musket on his shoulder. And bullets in his pocket, and there is no power on earth that can deny that he has earned the right to citizenship.
It took a special type of person in these Buffalo Soldiers in order to put themselves in that position to be able to carry the banner of the American flag while not being able to realize the privileges and freedoms associated with it.
Buffalo Soldier's story actually begins in earnest during the American Civil War. The Federal Army had about 180,000 black men serving in uniform during the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. And by 1865, we had almost 200,000 black men in uniform fighting for the North.
The victory had come at high cost, and for African Americans who witnessed it firsthand, it was bittersweet.
Black men had been in every war there ever was. But then when the war was over, they were, thank y'all for your help, going back to the plantation.
But this time it would be different. There was nothing for anyone to return to. The South was in ruins, its economy shattered. With the North now facing the rising cost of reconstruction, the Army was forced to reduce in size from 1 million men down to 50,000. To many, it looked as if the blacks would once again be pushed aside.
To put it in perspective, your average football stadium probably holds about 40 to 50,000. That gives you an idea of how many people we had to guard the United States from Atlantic to Pacific, from Canada to Mexico. It was a big job for a very, very small group of people.
Many of the white soldiers returned home and quickly filled up what few jobs were available.
1, 2, 1, 1.
The freed slaves or former soldiers found themselves trapped in the South with no money to move north and no jobs waiting for them if they could. They were faced with few options. For many, it meant going back to the cotton fields as sharecroppers.
Just because you got free from slavery, go downtown to try to find you an honest way to make a living, that doesn't mean that Mr. Jones that owns the store down there is going to give you a job. They probably turn their backs on him saying, hey, you got your freedom, that's what you've been after. Well, go ahead, But what good is your freedom if you don't have, somebody helping you? You can't do it all by yourself.
That help would come in July of 1866, when the United States Congress authorized the formation of 6 new Army regiments. They would become the first peacetime all-black regiments in the U.S. Army, making the military one of the largest employers of black Americans in the country. The enlistment was for 5 years, the pay $13 a month.
Sergeant gets $15. Then when they found a soldier that could read and write, they put stripes on it. They put him in charge of something if it wasn't nothing but counting how many horses out in the stalls or how much hay. They put him in charge of something.
Leaving many to ask, why would ex-slaves volunteer for a life of indentured servitude?
There was a lot more freedom in the military than there was in slavery, obviously, because you have the freedom of choice.
They had a chance to earn a living being a soldier, representing their country. Man, that made them feel good.
You could still choose to be in the Army or not being in the Army. You could not choose to be a slave or not be a slave. If you look at photographs of Buffalo soldiers in uniform, you see a lot of pride in those uniforms. You see a lot of pride in those faces. They were professionals. We have to show that we can do this.
Soon, America's newest citizens would have their opportunity to help forge this great nation.
Thanks to producer Dave Carter for sharing your very educational and interesting documentary with us. We'll have another Rusty Spur production airing soon, but you can also see them on YouTube anytime.
SCA-TV has contributions from many friends and colleagues who produce interesting and educational content. Now, Clark County TV, Channel 4, Classic Showcase, PBS, and more. Plus, residents can contribute also.
And if you have a video you'd like to submit about you, your pets, your travels, or hobbies, use the contact icon and you'll receive information on how to send it in. After review of your contribution, you might find your video on SCA-TV.
And if you have that kind of talent, the SCA-TV family is always happy to see skilled people or those who want to learn. Check out the volunteer icon on the website or join Friends of SCA-TV.
Tony, do you remember where you were on July 20th, 1969 when the Apollo landed on the moon?
Oh, I don't, Maren, because I was born about 10 years after that. And so I don't remember anything.
You know what? Me neither.
Yeah, see? Oh, I bet some of these people do, right? The Apollo 11 moon landing on July 20th, 1969 fulfilled a seemingly impossible goal. And now, 53 years later, we think nothing of going to Mars and beyond. In today's book talk, Irene Cancelia shares a sci-fi thriller that takes us to another solar system.
Oh.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Best-selling author Andy Weir took us to Mars and back in his novel The Martian, which also became a blockbuster movie starring Matt Damon. In his latest book, titled Project Hail Mary, he takes us to another solar system, light years away, where a lone astronaut is tasked with saving humanity from a mass extinction. Andy Weir, as a computer engineer by training and a physics buff by inclination, imagines a world where man is limited only by the scope of his imagination. Welcome to Book Talk. I'm Irene Cancelia. An astronaut awakens from a medically induced coma aboard a spacecraft to find that he is the sole survivor. The desiccated bodies of two other astronauts lie in their beds. A soft-spoken computer with articulated robotic arms tends to his basic needs. But who is he? With brain fog so dense, he seems to have lost all memory and purpose. In a flashback, the author takes us to Earth, where our sun is cooling at such a rapid rate that a mass extinction is likely in just decades. Upon closer examination, it's determined that this sudden heat transfer is caused by some form of algae traveling directly from the sun to Venus and back. One of the scientific minds called to study this phenomenon is middle school teacher Dr. Ryland Grace, a microbiologist held in disdain by the scientific community for his unorthodox views. Dr. Grace is content in his stress-free life as a middle school teacher, shaping the young minds of future generations. But when that future is imperiled by a dying sun, he joins the team of elite scientists working to unravel this mystery and save the planet. This gripping novel, laced with humor, is an exciting read. The protagonist is a likable, brilliant scientist who, as the narrator of this adventure, keeps us on the edge of our seat. The author has done extensive research into interstellar space travel, explaining it in understandable scientific terms that makes it seem plausible and even likely. Project Hail Mary is a New York Times bestseller with 5-star reviews from 75% of Amazon's 60,000 reviewers, some of whom have called it genius. I liked it too, and also give this thrilling book 5 stars. A movie version starring Ryan Gosling is already in the works, but don't wait for the movie, because what they say is true. The book is always better than the movie. Andy Weir gave a TED Talk a while ago about how he came to be a published author. As an aspiring novelist a decade ago, he wasn't able to get an agent, an editor, or a publisher to even give him a second glance. Undaunted, he began to serialize the novel on his blog and developed a devoted following. By popular demand, he then self-published on Amazon, where it became a huge hit. And you know, that book was The Martian, which was then picked up by Crown Publishing, and the rest is history. His advice is, don't let rejection kill your dream. Chart your own path. So, until next time, I'm Irene Concilia.
Interstellar space travel. Would you be willing to travel to another solar system and live among alien life forms?
No way. Not if I had to let NASA plan it. NASA plan it. Do you get it?
It was so clever, Tony. So clever.
I just can't help myself. People go, my God, he's so gorgeous, he's so talented, but he's funny too. I get that all the time.
Yep. And he won't live in Mars.
No, of course not.
No.
Unless it's the Mars. The
Mars. You would live on the Mars.
That's right.
Okay. I think most of our viewers would prefer to live in this active adult community.
Yeah.
There are some 57 clubs and so many activities to participate in. Seminars for various subjects like health and wellness, and a wonderful fitness center with pools.
Wow. There's an indoor track, trainers, tennis, pickleball, very sour.
Pickleball.
Swimming, golf, table tennis, dancing, and a selection of exercise or fitness classes. And that's me. That's what I'm all about.
I actually got to see a little of that going on. It was very impressive.
Health and fitness, that's what this is. Check out the Nevada Senior Games, which is open for registration for the September-October schedule.
There are quite a few medal winners here in this community, and you can watch the Nevada Senior Games story on last month's Anthem Alive, which is on the website under the icon for past Anthem Alive shows. And Phil Schlager will tell you about Hollywood legend James Cagney's Oscar-winning performance as George M. Cohan in Yankee Doodle Dandy.
He is best known for the gangster roles he played in the 1930s, a decade where he averaged almost 4 films a year for Warner Brothers, the studio that dared to show the seedy underbelly of America. It was James Cagney, not Edward G. Robinson, not George Raft, not Humphrey Bogart, who was the biggest star of the studio's gangster films. If you've seen Cagney in 1931's Public Enemy, you've seen probably the most iconic tough guy scene in filmdom. It's the one where Cagney, as a Chicago hoodlum, angrily smashes half a grapefruit into Mae Clark's face when she argues with him. Yep, James Cagney could play the toughest tough guy all right. Which is why, like many of his peers, he would be typecast and exploited by Warner Brothers as a gangster actor for most of his career. Still, arguably his best performance, the one for which he won his only Oscar for Best Actor, came not in a gangster movie. No, Cagney didn't win for his performance in White Heat or Angels and Dirty Faces. He won his Oscar in a musical biographical film about George M. Cohan, the legendary Broadway showman who'd written 44 Broadway shows, only 2 of which were not comedies. The film was Yankee Doodle Dandy, and it won Best Picture in 1942. In 1993, Yankee Doodle Dandy was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, unquote. So why didn't Cagney win an Oscar before playing George M. Cohan on the silver screen? Well, maybe it was because Hollywood didn't like to honor actors playing bad guys. Cagney was nominated but didn't win in 1938 as a gangster in Angels with Dirty Faces. Or maybe it was because the nation was newly at war in 1942. Shooting on Yankee Doodle Dandy actually began the day after Pearl Harbor. Maybe the Academy of Motion Pictures was happy to honor a patriotic biop about the composer of It's a Grand Old Flag. Or maybe it was because Cagney threw himself into the role with such complete joy and explosive energy. Audiences didn't expect to see Cagney singing and dancing. Sure, he'd been a hoofer in his stage days, but he danced only once in a major film, and that was Footlight Parade in 1933. Now he had the lead in the life story of one of the most famous song and dance men of his day, a role everybody knew Fred Astaire had turned down. The idea of Cagney playing George M. Cohan in a full-scale musical had excited Jack Warner and producer Hal Wallace. This coincided beautifully with Bill Cagney's intention to have his brother portray a paragon of Americanism. Initially, Jim didn't think he could do Cohan satisfactorily, but Bill convinced him that doing Cohan would personally be a needful antidote to Jim's so-called over-liberal reputation. Plus, it would be a golden Nanpriel professional opportunity to play a great American showman. The aging man who owned Broadway had recently been diagnosed with intestinal cancer. Even though he hadn't been informed fully of the disease's seriousness, Cohan was realist enough to guess that he was in a bad way. So when friends told him they thought his life should be filmed, he listened. He was told by Ed McNamara, one of Cagney's friends, that Jim would be perfect as Cohan. "Can he dance?" Cohan asked anxiously. "Dance?" said McNamara. "Why, for God's sake, he's almost as good as you are, George." It wasn't an exaggeration. George M. Cohan was stiff-legged when he danced, and Cagney adopted this characteristic for Cohan on stage. "Can Cagney sing?" asked Cohan. "Well, so-so, George." George was relieved to hear that. "About like me, Ed?" "About like you, George." Cohan was pleased. Cagney got the part. Shooting started the day after Pearl Harbor, everyone working in a kind of patriotic frenzy. Cagney created most of his own choreography, sometimes improvising. In an impromptu scene near the end of the movie, Cagney's Cohan is walking down a marble staircase in the White House after called in to see FDR in the Oval Office. Cagney later said he had dreamed that up 5 minutes before the scene was shot. "I didn't consult with the director or anything. I just did it." Even in black and white, it's a red, white, and blue finale. When the film was completed, a print was dispatched to Cohan at his summer home in Monroe, New York. The old man had wanted Fred Astaire to play him. After the movie, Cohan realized how wrong Fred would have been. Shaking his head in wonderment at Cagney's performance, George M. Cohan, A performer from the time he could walk said, "My God, what an act to follow." Indeed. Besides receiving the Oscar, Cagney won Best Actor awards from the National Board of Review and the New York Film Critics Circle. Yankee Doodle Dandy is still considered one of the most patriotic Hollywood productions and is a July 4th standard. If you have a chance, watch it. Phil Schlager, reporting for Anthem Alive, SCA-TV.
You know, the 27th is National New Jersey Day, and I didn't even know that existed.
Neither did I.
The New York Metro Club probably has an event.
Well, and how are you celebrating that, Tony?
Wow, New Jersey Day. I don't know, probably with a cow. National Hawaii Day is July 5th. Now, Maren, you sang at the Honolulu Bowl, didn't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Well,
it was a very long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's chat
Sounds
about your past and travels and your adventures and where people can see you.
Well, yes, I have. I'm in a new show on the Strip called Ladylike. It is a retro modern show, and I play a headmistress character where all the girls are in charm school, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek twist on the women's roles in the 1950s and 60s, so that is fun.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
So it's educational.
Very educational.
And,
just like your history lessons, Tony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just like me. And do you have anything else coming
I
up?
do, and then I have one other. I am doing my own cabaret show called Confessions of a Showgirl.
Can't wait for that.
Yes, musically directed by Keith Thompson. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's created the Cocktail
he's
Cabaret,
amazing.
Composer's Showcase. He was the musical director for Jersey Boys, and that's going to be a fun little show all about my adventures as a Las Vegas showgirl. That is going to be at Clark County Library at the Flamingo Library on July 24th, which is a Sunday at 2 p.m. And it's
Wow.
free.
Oh, God, even better.
Yes.
And we will be there.
Think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you'd walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, you never knew. And have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grins? You need to sing with all the voices of the mountains. You need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You need to paint with all the colors of the wind.
And what about you, Tony?
Oh, gosh, so many things to talk about. And I don't want to talk about my looks or my hair or my talent or anything like that. But this coming month on July 10th, I'm very, very excited to be back at the Italian American Club. And I haven't been there in 30 years.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
actually performed there in
Yes.
30 years since I was a kid. And so I'm very excited about it. And I'm doing a great show from the Las Vegas Songbook. And I have the Michael DeBay Orchestra behind me. And we're going to have a fantastic time. So that is Sunday, July 10th at the Italian American Club, and you can go to their website or go to Tony Arias' website and you can purchase your tickets or reservations there. TonyArias.com. That's TonyArias. Yay for me!
And if you haven't seen Tony live, he is amazing, and you will never see the same show twice.
Never.
It is always different, always off the cuff, and always hilarious.
Oh,
and
honey,
you're an insane singer too,
Oh,
which is
thank
just
you
so
so
wonderful.
much.
It's very rare to have someone that is funny
Oh.
and also just such a beautiful voice.
I absolutely adore this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony Arias. Come on, y'all.
These featured stories are available for you to view again on the SCA-TV website on your screen, and share with your friends, family, and clubs.
And just a reminder, the SCA Veterans Club will start selling the tickets for their annual ice cream social. Yay! Which always sells out fast. So that's probably because the ice cream is melting. So check out the Veterans Corner on the SCA-TV website for more details, and community hour on Cox at 1 a.m. and p.m. and 7 p.m.
Yep, 4/7. And Cox Channel 1960 at 3, 6, 9, and 12 a.m. and p.m.
And if you are a Cox subscriber, check the schedule on the Spirit Magazine insert, The Relay.
Email SCA-TV if you have problems with your Cox TV channel, or call the number on your screen.
SCA-TV wants to hear from you, the viewers, so let them know what you want to watch.
Yes. You can comment on the shows, suggest or inquire about volunteer opportunities, or to join Friends of SCA-TV.
That's right. Anthem Alive provides this community with information, ongoings on within and outside Sun City Anthem. Other sources of information and Sun City Anthem updates are provided by the monthly Spirit Magazine and the weekly email blast. So make sure you're signed up to receive it. And don't forget to read the SCA-TV page in the Spirit Magazine for a preview.
Look for Sun City Anthem TV on Facebook and Sun City Anthem TV Instagram and Twitter posts. Use hashtag Sun City Anthem TV.
Wow, yes. And on behalf of the SCA-TV volunteers, we thank you for your support of your Sun City Community television station.
Tony, do you want to do a sing-out?
Oh, gosh, I would love to do a sing-out.
What should we do?
Oh, God, we should do something patriotic.
Something patriotic.
Right.
Like, should we do Born in the USA?
Sure, I love that one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are you gonna pick a key?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Born in the USA. We were born in the USA.
Born in the USA.
Thank you so much for watching. Take care.